Mantras of our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says your mental difficulty has been all along that you wanted to mold the sadhana and the reception of experience and the response of the divine according to your own preconceived mental ideas and left no freedom to the divine to act or to manifest according to his own truth and reality and the need not of your mind and vital, but of your soul and spirit. With always our love and blessings, says our Lord, Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo's Savitri, Book 1, the Book of Beginnings, Canto 5, The Yoga of the Spirit's Freedom and Greatness, page 19. His being now exceeded thinkable space. His boundless thought was neighbor to cosmic sight. A universal light was in his eyes. A golden influx flowed through heart and brain. A force came down into his mortal limbs, a current from eternal seas of bliss. He felt the invasion and the nameless joy, aware of his occult omnipotent source, allured by the omniscient ecstasy, a living center of the illimitable, widened to equate with the world's circumference, he turned to his immense spiritual fate. Abandoned on a canvas of torn air, a picture lost in far and fading streaks, the earth nature's summits sank below his feet. He climbed to meet the infinite more above. The immobile's ocean's silence saw him pass, an arrow leaping through eternity, suddenly shot from the tense bow of time, a ray returning to its parent sun. Opponent of that glory of escape, the black inconscient swung its dragon tail, lashing a slumberous infinite by its force into the deep obscurities of form. Death lay beneath him like a gate of sleep. One pointed to the immaculate delight, questing for God as for a splendid prey. He mounted, burning like a cone of fire. To a few is given that godlike rare release. One among many thousands never touched, engrossed in the external world's design, is chosen by a secret witness eye and driven by a pointing hand of light across his soul's unmapped immensitudes. Words of our Divine Mother, taken from the collective works of our Divine Mother. Book, The Mother's Luminous Gaze. In this, our Divine Mother states about her eyes and says, "My dear child, you know, I do a lot of things with my eyes. Simultaneously, there are several actions that are being carried out. By this look, I can transfix someone so that he does not deviate from the path, so that he speaks only the truth, so that he submits himself and does not revolt, so that he collaborates with me. If I want, I can hypnotize him so that he comes out of his negative tendencies, but I do not do that. I can communicate by subtle means to see the soul of the person, the veiled aspiration of his nature, the subtle bodies which accompany him, the aura which protects him as concretely as I see you now. I see all that goes on in the atmosphere, in nature, all around, which people do not see. Our Divine Mother says, my gaze, which passes beyond, penetrates and sees into the very depth of things, brooks no obstruction or barrier. It sees the atoms and molecules in their detailed functioning. This gaze that extends till infinity projects eternity in its vision, contemplates immortality in its sight. This infallible look descends by a silent contact and awakens the secret power which resides in the depths of the inconscience of the being which sleeps in eternity. Our Divine Mother says the past, the present, and the future accompany the person to announce the possibility of his realization and the progress he is capable of making in his terrestrial existence. In a single glance, says our Divine Mother, I see them before me, and his past and his immediate present with the promise of his future are revealed to me. And if I find him interesting and capable, he becomes a part of my consciousness and accompanies me in his quest towards the truth. In this way, I see many things simultaneously and nothing escapes my view, whether it's visible or invisible. All this, says our Divine Mother, unfolds itself in front of me and is projected in the terrestrial atmosphere only when I consent and give the order. I ignore many things which want to manifest, and I assign nature to make her own choice, and she has her impeccable way of bringing out in this universe all that wants to evolve. But when I see some things which want to transform themselves, I hasten their evolution. Our Divine Mother says, my dear child, each of my eyes works independently. One projects itself in the infinite to discover the future, and the other scrutinizes, sees, looks, surveys, explores, and arranges so that nothing escapes its vision in order to contemplate and to extend the grace. In a single glance, I know the history of the person who is before me, all the elements which constitute his being, all the moments of his thought, his impulse, his activity, his attitude, his aspiration, his development, his possibility, all that governs his life, I know in an instant, in a flash of time. For me, says our Divine Mother, this does not take time because his soul and his aura with his subtle body unfold and spread the consciousness wide open in front of me so that I may see them as clearly as possible. I do not examine them, but on his own he tells me everything that I want to know about him. Our Divine Mother says, it is interesting that those who know me a little perceive How one of my eyes overflows with love, spreads light, charges and illumines the atmosphere with the divine joy, expresses the supraconscious, changes and witnesses the course of events and circumstances, brings peace and hastens the divine manifestation upon earth. How this gaze moves further and further and disappears in the eternity of time and space. Whereas the other one concentrates and sees all that goes on inside as well as outside, judges and measures the value of the person, his attitude, and of course his possibilities of realization, and according to his capacities pours a bit of love, light, peace, and power to prepare him so as to communicate with his soul. That is how I communicate with his soul. You understand? It is my gaze which sees, prepares the instrument, then consents to bless in order to pour the divine love. In a glance, I do all this, says our Divine Mother. Well, my eyes reflect the soul, bring forth all the qualities of the soul in its divine purity. They are transparent and lucid, they radiate light and joy. They are filled with compassion and kindness, charged with a sweetness and a benevolence that spreads all around to bless and comfort creatures and men. Our Divine Mother says, you see, it is very difficult to fathom the depth and measure the vastness of this look full of immeasurable wisdom which seizes the soul. These eyes which shine with the transparency of a pure crystal seize and inflame the hearts, burn and consume all the imperfections, dispel and get rid of falsehood, ignorance, and so many other evils of the world, as well as hatred and pain, that it is impossible to measure, it cannot be. It surpasses infinitely. Not only that, this look radiates and transforms all that it sees, perceives, and touches, and triumphs with an ineffable grace. Our Divine Mother says, these eyes, full of love, intensely charged by a sublime presence, illumine the hearts in the clear radiance of their light, and the soul of the person is reflected in the eyes. That is not all. These eyes, which see nothing but the beauty in the world, communicate with and express the supra-terrestrial or supracosmic beauty, have extraordinary powers to bring about beauty in ugliness, transform evil and suffering into divine joy, change ignorance and obscurity into wisdom and light, and unconsciousness into consciousness. Our Divine Mother says, my child, if you can concentrate deeply into my eyes, then you will get all that you want to know, all that you want to comprehend, all that you want to realize, just by an intense concentration, just by the power of your will, which expresses itself through my eyes. Our Divine Mother says, you can have all that you aspire for, all that you need. You can see the whole world in my eyes, the whole universe unfolds in my eyes, all that is beautiful in nature as well as in the heavens. And you will not need to go here and there looking for the so-called attractions and revelations of this world. All is in me and all expresses itself through me. Take the trouble to find me there, and our Divine Mother points to the heart. You will see everything through my eyes. Our Divine Mother says, my dear child, I am the unknown that is unseizable, yet I consent to be seized. I am the unknowable, yet men pretend to know me. I am the infinite, but I am constrained to limit myself in a physical body by time and space. I am the eternal who has submitted itself to be bound in evolution. I am immortality, which awakes in its innumerable aspects that perish in order to climb back towards the one which has consented to a birth in order to suffer the terrestrial consequences. I am the nihil where everything disappears, the inconscience that denies my presence, yet each atom of this mass of ignorance palpitates with my consciousness. I am the mystery, the great paradox which has begun to unveil the innate secrets of this divine manifestation in the terrestrial and cosmic evolution. By the fact of this immense descent of the supramental upon earth, we foresee the gradual dissolution of the duality, the contradiction, and many other things which trouble ordinary men. Our Divine Mother says, my child, I will tell you one more secret because you want to know what is in my look. It is not that you have asked me, but the way you are wonderstruck by my look, seized and lost in the consciousness that emerges from my look, my child. I am the one, the permanent who's ever awake. I was, I am, and I shall be. Nothing can surpass me, yet the self renews itself at each moment to discover and again surpass the permanent that exists in itself. It is a game, an enigma for those who wants to know. It is not to be understood and known, but it is a fact that faith alone can find. As I am in him, he is in me. In a permanent way up there is no difference. But for the terrestrial manifestation, we have chosen to be divided into two separate physical bodies. Here below to help one another in the terrestrial evolution. It was the only way to hasten the evolution. We are the one, the unique, the essence of all that exists that marches forward towards the truth of existence. Do not forget, for it is the plan of the Supreme. It is He who has formulated it, so He knows what He is doing. Here is something to change you completely. Look straight into my eyes and follow the road that is being traced before you. It is a visible trajectory, an infallible guide. Be conscious. Do you know, my child, the thing that I do through my look without announcing, without anyone being disturbed, sweetly, very gently, full of affection and sympathy? Wherever I have looked, I have planted an aspiration of the transforming force. I have sent a vibration of the divine consciousness. I have transmitted the power of an eternal joy. I have enveloped these beings and things with an immutable love. Wherever I looked, everywhere, whatsoever I have seen or this gaze has fallen upon, wherever my eyes have glanced or have grazed the unfathomable horizons or caught a picturesque moment or traversed the skies, the stars and the suns, or directed a concentration of the consciousness towards all that is gathered by this eternal look, I have sent a state, a substance of the supramental consciousness, that which does not perish but works incessantly to change the contents of these elements to the new consciousness. This look is filled with love, light, grace, and divine compassion, says our Divine Mother. These words are taken from the book written by Mona Sarkar, the Supreme.